All right, Coach. A massive slate of SEC games this weekend, but many would argue that the biggest one right now is the Alabama-Georgia game. It was a huge game last year. I'm wondering what your thoughts are heading into this weekend.
Yeah, don't you love these games this early in the season, man, where you can get everybody fired up? It's one of those iconic games, right, Max? I mean, there's always going to be some kind of drama. You know that there was last year. It was a great back and forth game. But I think this is going to be an incredible game in Athens. I think you're looking at a team like Alabama that definitely the first week of the season would like to have that one back. Wasn't exactly what they wanted. But then when you play in a game like that, your only job at that point moving forward is to improve. And they've done that both weeks. They both, like the last 2 weeks they played, Louisiana Monroe and Wisconsin, I thought they 100% improved across the board. And then you got Georgia over there, right? Came off an iconic win, one of those heavyweight slugfests in Knoxville. Both had 2 weeks to prepare for each other. I think it's going to be an insane game.
You obviously have a unique experience having coached against both of these teams, obviously in different iterations, but they were both rivals for you. I'm wondering which environment seems to be the advantage in this game. Is it going in to Athens, which is going to be more difficult for Alabama, or going into Bryant-Denny Stadium, which would have been more difficult for Georgia last year?
Well, the question would be here would be the analogy. You want your eyes poked out or your nose cut off? Because they're both painful. I mean, those are two of the most incredible environments in college football. It'll play a role Saturday. It'll play a role in Athens, particularly early on. These games when you have these big, what have become rivalry games and iconic college football playoff games that have college football playoff implication games like this, it's really important to get off to fast starts. And if Alabama doesn't go in there and they don't get into start off fast, it can be a problem. And you get that crowd into it, particularly offensively when Alabama's on offense. You get that crowd into it and you can't hear and you have communication issues. But look, they're both used to playing like that on the road. They know that. But you can't ignore the fact that playing in Athens will definitely have an impact on the game for sure.
When you look at where both teams are right now, who is this game bigger for at this moment?
I think it's bigger for Kalen DeBoer. I don't think there's any question. I mean, they've already had one game right now that they wish they could have back, right? You don't want two of those out of four, and when you're the head coach at the University of Alabama, it's just fact. If Kirby, stumbles and falls in this game, they'll pick up everything and move forward and go, right? People just say move on to the next one. I know what it's like in the state of Alabama, still live there. That's not how it works, right? So I think this is a huge game for Kalen. And I'm not saying that he's got to go in there and win. I'm just saying that, this needs to be a close football game. It needs to be a hard-fought football game. I think Kalen DeBoer and Alabama need to go in there and show that we are physical. We can stand toe-to-toe with guys. I think they need to go in there and make the statement that when we get in these games, we can be disciplined. We can execute. We can impose our will. We can do all those things that if you're going to be a championship team, which they've been in the past, those are all the traits you've seen of those teams, right? So you don't want to keep going back to the past. That's not really a fair evaluation of things, but it's the only thing anybody has to compare it to. So the things that get you beat and the things that have got them beat in the past, the narrative was in game one, you got out physical. You couldn't run it. You couldn't stop the run. Well, that's a bad combo in this league because Georgia's going to try to run it and Georgia's going to try to stop the run. So, and they're usually pretty good at it. So there's just things in this game that Alabama needs to show. But I think it's a game of huge importance for Kalen DeBoer just to make sure that the narrative and the optics look like this is an ascending football team, even if they don't win it.
And then I can't let you go without talking about Auburn. Another big game for the Tigers this weekend, taking on Texas A&M. What do you think that Hugh Freeze's squad needs to show this weekend so fans don't lose hope?
Well, I think it's critical that they can pull out a win. I think it's huge. They've got a good football team, and there's no question in my mind that they do. They're really good on defense. I don't think people give them enough credit for how good they are in defense. You know, they only had one sack last week against Oklahoma, but John Mateer can get out of trouble for one, and they harassed him a lot. If you look at how the defense played, this was a one-score game. And offensively, they gave up 10 sacks. And I know that's what everybody's focusing on, and rightly so. 10 sacks, 14 TFLs, kind of unheard of, right? But it's also unheard of that you're in a game against one of the top teams in the country, and it's a one-score game. Despite that, their offense can score points. Jackson Arnold needs to continue to get some down the field throws to the Cam Colemans of the world that showed up Saturday. Eric Singleton has been a really good addition to the Auburn offense arsenal. If their running backs are healthy, if Alston's healthy now and Jeremiah Cobb is healthy, getting in there and running the football, again, the importance of running the ball on the road in an environment like College Station is huge. But this is not a bad football team. I think Auburn people last week, although disappointed, I think when they look at all of the factors, I don't think that they've lost hope. Matter of fact, I thought that it gave them hope. So now if you go on the road to A&M and you're carrying a team in there that you think you can travel with, and you don't play well, and it's not a close football game, then I think maybe the sentiment changes a little bit.